On April 21st, 2025, news broke that Pope Francis, Bishop of Rome, had passed away. Millions across the world mourned the death of the head of the Catholic Church, while almost simultaneously, thousands, if not millions, flocked to sportsbooks to place a bet on this guy.
Castellanos, he's on a home run binge.
Hours after the death, a game between the Phillies and Mets was about to begin. At this point, sports gambling companies already knew, depending on the outcome of this game, they were about to lose an unforgivable amount of money or have potentially one of the most profitable nights in the legalized sports betting era. This is extremely rare. Typically, sportsbooks are guaranteed to make profits no matter what, based on a strategy called balancing the book. Let's say the Mets and Phillies are playing each other. They're evenly matched, so both are valued at minus 110. That means you have to bet $110 to win $100. Let's say 100 people all bet $110. Half the bets are on the Mets and the other half are on the Phillies, and the Phillies win. The sportsbook takes the 11 grand that was initially gambled and uses it to pay the people who bet the Phillies their money back, plus the $100 they earned for being right. That comes out to $10,500 in total. Since the sportsbook got $11,000 in bets and only have to pay $10,500 to the winners, they profit $500 if the Phillies win. Now let's say the Mets win and they have to pay out the 50 Mets bettors. That also comes out to $10,500 and a $500 profit. The sportsbook always wins as long as 50% of the action is on one bet and 50% of it is on the other bet. They are constantly moving lines and incentivizing people to make certain bets, so by the time the game starts, half the action is on one outcome and the other half is on the other. But there are rare instances where human nature gets involved and a massive public phenomenon causes extreme bias. Like when the entire world thought that the Pope's death meant that Nick Castellanos was guaranteed to hit a homer.
Everyone was asked their favorite superheroes. You said Scooby-Doo. I didn't realize Scooby-Doo was a superhero.
I mean, well, first off, he's a dog, right? And he can talk.
Fair enough, okay.
And he solves mysteries. So I think that a dog that can talk and helps people by solving mysteries, I think is a superhero.
Checks off all the superhero boxes, has special skills, and he helps people.
Correct.
This is what Nick Castellanos does. He gives funny interviews, he gets into fights on the field, and hits home runs during very awkward moments. In 2011, he hit his first professional home run. It just so happened to also be the day Osama bin Laden got killed. That would become way more important than anybody thought at the time. After establishing himself in Detroit, Castellanos landed on the Reds. During this era, the Reds had a cast of very interesting players who seemed to always be fighting, most of the time for doing something the other team thought was disrespectful. Like when this guy did a hesitation during his windup to throw off Castellanos' timing. Castellanos then smoked one off the wall, got to second, and mimicked his delivery to his face. Earlier that year, Castellanos hit this home run, pimped it a little too much, then got hit by the Cardinals. Castellanos seemed a little annoyed, so when he came around and scored on a wild pitch, he screamed and flexed in the guy's face. After this, the bench is cleared, he got suspended, which he found to be very unfair since he was actually very nice to the pitcher.
Take my stuff off. I even asked the pitcher if he wanted the ball back. You know? Just out of sometimes pitchers, he's coasting, I don't know.
Seems like Nick Castellanos didn't like Commissioner Rob Manfred's decision to suspend him. In Colorado, he hit a home run, then gave knuckles to this fan afterwards. The broadcast was curious on the reason for the fist pump, and Castellanos let the actual fan take the mic and answer that question for him.
All right, be careful, you're on live TV here. Now, what led up to the fist pump? I told Nick when he got up there that he should imagine that Rob Manfred's face was on the baseball. And the next pitch, he lit it up over the fence, baby. All righty.
But by far, the most consequential event in Castellanos' time in Cincinnati happened on August 19, 2020, when broadcaster Tom Bretterman was caught on a hot mic saying,
capitals of the world.
Within an hour, this clip had been posted online, and by the 5th inning, he was asked to step away from the broadcast and make an apology.
Out of my heart, I'm so very, very sorry.
But before he could finish,
I pride myself and think of myself as a man of faith. As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run. And so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game.
Castellanos hit a bomb, and people found this hilarious. The apology quickly spread online. Tom Bretterman's mistake was now national news, but like most trending stories, people forgot about this. Castellanos kept playing, Bretterman disappeared, but a month later, the Reds announced Bretterman would be leaving the broadcast for good. And this meme took off. All of a sudden, every single reply was a copy-paste of Bretterman's famous quote, and there's a deep drive into left field. Over the next month, those words were tweeted over 7,000 times. Anytime there was a scandal and a public figure had to apologize, somebody would take their apology and add, quote, and there's a deep drive into left field, producing viral tweet after viral tweet. Nearly a year after this home run, the Reds tweeted out Castellanos' birthday. Every reply was about his deep drive to the left field. You'd think something like this would quickly be forgotten. Nope, because Castellanos couldn't stop hitting home runs during tragedies. During spring training, Fernando Tatis had what looked like a serious injury.
Back toward the Padres dugout, he took himself out of the game.
Moments later,
and there's a deep drive into left field by Castellanos, and that will be a home run, so that'll make it a 3-2 game.
A few months after that, the Royals are honoring a World War II veteran who recently passed away.
At the age of 96. Well, that's a great life. 96 years. He also went to Bishop Ward High School.
Then hits a home run.
There's never a great time to eulogize someone during
this spread all over social media. Now, Castellanos' entire reputation was based on solely hitting home runs during awkward moments. The attention was so much, even his wife addressed it, saying, quote, PSA to all Nick Castellanos joke tweets. Something happens every day in the world. Find a new joke. Castellanos' own brother replied to this, saying, honestly, it's ridiculous how you all find pleasure in such horrific and terrible events, as there's a deep drive in the left field by Castellanos, along with thousands of other tweets all trolling her with a deep drive into left field line. The meme had gotten so big that the people now referencing Castellanos' ill-timed home runs couldn't even tell you what position he played. But while he was becoming infamous on Twitter for something completely different, he was also putting up the best season of his career. In 2021, he became an all-star, won a Silver Slugger, got MVP votes, and it just so happened to be right before free agency. In 2022, Castellanos inked a $100 million contract to go to Philadelphia. In his first spring training with the Phillies, a Blue Jays bench coach got a DUI, and the broadcast had to address it.
Arrested early Friday morning, fortunately. Very significant situation with Pete Walker.
Castellanos roped the single.
That's going to drop for a base hit.
The very next night, Will Smith smacks Chris Rock in the face. A man tweets that Castellanos is somewhere out there hitting a home run. It goes viral. 10 hours later, Castellanos hits a home run. 2 ill-timed hits in one spring training alone, it looked like this was going to be a good omen for Castellanos. But then, he had the worst year of his career, and Phillies fans were not shy in telling him. He struggled and got booed throughout the entire season, at one point going after a reporter when asked about it.
Did you hear the news there when you struck out in the playing the game there?
No, man, I lost my hearing.
So you didn't hear it?
Come on, man, that's a stupid question.
Why is it a stupid question?
Can anybody else answer that?
It's not a stupid question. If it's a stupid question, you should be equipped to answer.
All right. I did answer it.
Did you hear the booze?
That's a stupid question.
We got the answer. We're good. Thanks, guys.
Then you should be able to handle a stupid question.
He had a negative WAR after getting paid $100 million. He underachieved, the team underachieved, and fans in Philly were turning on him. Thankfully, he was still very good at this one thing. Just 2 months after the Chris Rock homer, the Phillies are paying tribute to fallen soldiers.
Those who paid the ultimate sacrifice.
Castellanos hit a home run.
Castellanos rips one to deep left field. It is gone!
Going into 2023, he needed to prove the Phillies that he was worth it, and he did, going off in the first half and making an all-star team. Then I-95 in Philly collapses. That night, Castellanos comes to the plate and homers.
It is gone!
Fans in Philly start falling in love with Castellanos. His son looks and acts just like him. He's not afraid to back his teammates, and he isn't afraid to call an interview question dumb.
What did you see on that pitch that allowed you to be, the guy who was mobbed at the field there?
14 fastball.
And how did it work for you?
I mean, you saw the game, right? You see the highlight?
I did see the highlight.
But he really won over the fans in the playoffs, going off and doing a celebration that looked like he was flicking off the world, but really it was him trying to get the Phillies a World Series ring. He hit a home run against the Braves. Then later that game, the broadcast brought up beloved Philly manager Charlie Manuel, who was recovering from a stroke.
This was Thursday. It's a week ago. He can always rake.
Charlie, all he wanted.
But before they can finish their thought,
in the air, he has another one.
2 home runs in one game, then 2 more home runs in the next game, and guess how many times that had been done in MLB history?
Nobody in Major League history has hit 2 home runs on back-to-back postseason games, but you just did, and you guys are headed to the NLCS.
Where's the question in that?
There's no question.
Thank you for telling me.
Castellanos followed this up with another home run the next game. The next season, baseball legend Willie Mays passes away at 93 years old. Castellanos hits a walk-off double 30 minutes later. By this point, it was obvious something strange was going on. Now, with at least 10 examples, each instance adding more attention, by this point, it was a full-fledged phenomenon. Everyone knew when a tragedy or major event happens, Castellanos hits a home run. So that's why in July 2024, when Joe Biden announced he was dropping out of the presidential race, some wise people rushed to the sports books. But before we get to that, what's that logo in the background at Citi Field? That is the official trading platform of the New York Mets. They also sponsor me, and they're about to give you guys free stuff. Thank you so much to Moo for sponsoring today's video. If you haven't heard of them, you will soon. They have 25 million users across the world already. If you already use an app to invest and track the market, you may want to think about making the switch. And if you're thinking about starting to invest, Moo is a great place to start. You can trade stocks, ETFs, and options with $0 in commissions. Yes, $0 in commissions, and they thrive on analytics. If you're the type of person who loves tracking WAR, OPS, and ERA, Moo should be your investing app, okay? They have premium data and analysis most apps charge for is free on Moo. The amount of data and insights you can get on your portfolio is pretty crazy and very helpful. Did I mention you can trade stocks, ETFs, and options with $0 in commissions? And if you're watching this video, you can get an even better deal because Moo have doubled their promotion for Baseball Doesn't Exist watchers to celebrate their new partnership with the Mets. New users can receive up to 60 free stocks and 2 sweet tickets to a Mets game with a qualifying deposit. It's a limited time offer and only available through my link below. Yes, they'll give you free tickets for making a qualifying deposit. Not to mention, you'll get an industry high 8.1% APY for the first 3 months. So whether you're a beginner trying to learn, a sports fan who just wants Mets tickets, or an intermediate to advanced trader who wants to see all their data and analysis, click the link below and get up to 60 free stocks with a qualifying deposit, plus 8.1% APY for a limited time, and 2 free sweet tickets to a New York Mets game. Do it right now. Shortly after the announcement that Joe Biden was dropping out of the race, people began posting their bets online. Soon enough, so many people were betting on Castellanos because they thought it was funny that FanDuel limited how much money you were allowed to bet on him. And they did this because they knew something was up and knew they were at extreme risk. Let's say on a regular night, $100,000 is gambled on a Castellanos home run listed at plus 600. If he doesn't hit one that night, the sportsbook makes $100,000. If he does hit one, they lose $600,000. That's a lot of money, but knowing that more often than not, Castellanos is not going to hit a home run, this slight risk is worth it. In the long run, they know about $100,000 a night is going to be gambled on him to hit a home run. And they know that the amount of times he doesn't home run will outnumber the amount of times he does home run by so much that they are pretty much guaranteed to make money over time. But let's say all of a sudden, on just one random night, instead of $100,000, tens of millions of dollars are gambled on a Castellanos home run. Now, if he does hit one, instead of losing 600 grand, they lose tens of millions of dollars. And that's a risk they are not willing to take. A few hours after Joe Biden dropped out of the race, sportsbooks weren't letting anybody bet on Castellanos to hit a home run because they knew if he hit one, they'd be screwed. And a few hours later,
those teams in the Central. As Castellanos lifts one a deep left field, going back is Reynolds. It is gone.
Hundreds, if not thousands, of posts now flooded social media, along with betting slips showing how much money they won on Castellanos. This was a massive loss for sportsbooks, but behind the scenes, they were likely aware this was the best thing that could ever happen to them. The meme had evolved. Betting content creators were now in on it. Now, rushing to make a bet every time a tragedy happened had become the meme. Some may have legitimately been convinced that Castellanos actually did hit better during a tragedy, but in reality, tragedies happen every day, and every time Nick Castellanos hit a home run, people were flocking to find some event that they could tie to it, knowing it would be a funny social media post. It didn't actually affect his chances to hit a home run. People were mostly aware of this, but it didn't matter. They were gonna bet on it anyway just because it was funny. And in April 2025, when the Pope suddenly passed away, the Castellanos meme hit a climax. But this time, the sportsbooks were prepared. Within an hour, a wave of social media posts for Castellanos came in, but this was different. This was the highest profile death of the year. The sportsbooks had lost millions when Castellanos homered after Biden dropped out, but according to Google Trends, the Pope had brought Castellanos close to 3 times more attention, meaning there were likely close to 3 times more people betting on it, and there was 3 times more risk for betting companies. Before news of the Pope spread, sportsbooks listed Castellanos as high as plus 775 to homer. A correct bet of $100 would get you $775. This means the sportsbooks were essentially predicting he had an 8% chance to hit a home run this night. But once news of the Pope spread, sportsbooks became aware no matter what they listed the odds at, people were gonna bet on it anyway. They moved the line as low as plus 425. Now, instead of winning $775 for a $100 bet, you would only win $425. According to the odds, his likelihood of hitting a home run went from 8% to 20% just because the Pope passed away. He was facing a pitcher with a 1.09 ERA. He hadn't given up a home run all year. He is the 11th hardest pitcher to hit a home run against in the National League. The wind chill this night was 46 degrees and the wind was blowing in. That did not matter at all. On a day where the English Premier League, NHL playoffs, and NBA playoffs were all happening, a Nick Castellanos home run was the most popular bet of the night. 3 times more people were betting on Castellanos to hit a home run than any other player in baseball. When you bet on this, you had an option to either bet Castellanos would homer or bet that he would not homer. 97% of the people who bet on it bet he would homer. That is typically dangerous for sportsbooks. As I stated earlier, they want action to be the same on both sides to decrease risk. However, Castellanos' true odds should have been plus 775. Now, they were offering a line way worse for the people betting on it at plus 425, and still, people couldn't stop betting on it. This was one of the most lopsided bets possible, and somehow it had become the most popular bet possible. The upside was so good that for sportsbooks, the risk was worth it. However, despite the odds heavily being in their favor, a Castellanos home run would still cost the sportsbooks an ungodly amount of money. And as the game started, they knew this could potentially be very bad. Castellanos comes to the plate in the second. He takes a few pitches, which is unlike him. He typically is a free swinger who is prone to chase, but he's patient and works a full count. The 3-2 pitch comes, strike 3 looking. He's 0 for 1, but comes up again in the 4th and takes a big hack at the first pitch.
The first pitch in this at-bat, which is much more Castellanos-like. The only thing that would be more Castellanos-like is if he hits a home run during a major event.
People are betting on it.
People will bet on just about anything, Ronnie.
He then strikes out again on just 3 pitches. He gets his 3rd chance in the 6th inning, but this time it's against reliever Reed Garrett, a pitcher Castellanos has crushed his entire career. But once again, he comes up short, chases a pitch, and pops out. Now, it's the 8th inning, and if he's going to do it, this would be the time. The park factors have seemed to switch. There ended up being 4 home runs throughout this game. Footage from the game shows that the wind had switched directions and is now blowing out to right field. It seems like the stadium now might favor a home run. He comes in to face an inexperienced reliever. It's the 8th inning, and this is Castellanos' last chance. He gets down in the count, but on a 0-2 count, he connects. And for a split second, it looks like Castellanos has done it again, but it's caught. Castellanos ends the game 0 for 4, and while bettors go home disappointed, the sportsbooks walk away with millions.